Here are some additional poetic terms that I want to make sure that you're familiar with before you start practicing for the exam. These words will be on the exam in some form or another, so I want you to memorize these definitions and make sure that you can recall them so that when asked to identify, you'll be able to. Heroic couplets. You know that a couplet is two-line stanza. So heroic couplets are different because they have a very set meter, iambic pentameter, 5 feet per line. They're called heroic couplets because they are spawned from the epics that use them, talking about heroic journeys. Ballad meter is a 4-line stanza with a rhyming pattern A, B, C, B. Iambic tetrameter. Tetrameter means 3 feet per line. It was used in ancient Greek and Latin poetry. Pastoral elegy is a poem about death, which is what an elegy is. It's a poem to kind of honor someone in his death. But a pastoral elegy honors someone in his death and attaches the pastoral element, which means a theme of idyllic rural life, or how life on the farm is pretty much perfect. A dramatic monologue is a persona poem, written in the form of a speech of an individual character. So in this sense, it would be spoken from the I perspective, or first person. A great example of this is the poem I Am Joaquin by Rudolfo Corky Gonzalez, a very long dramatic monologue that talks about all of the different cultures that make up Joaquin. An irregular ode is a poem with meter and rhyme, but no set pattern of meter or rhyme. An ode is the opposite of an elegy. Where an elegy honors someone who has passed away, an ode celebrates something or someone that is alive. An irregular ode, again, is a poem with meter and rhyme, but doesn't have a rigid structure for those. Epic catalog is a long, detailed list of objects, places, or people characteristic of epic poetry. Remember, epic poems are book-length poems, so the epic catalog has plenty of room to fit in an epic poem. You may consider all of these terms that you're learning somewhat of an epic catalog that you're going to have to memorize. A really great example of an epic catalog is Allen Ginsberg's Howl. An Alexandrine is a line of verse with 6 iambic feet. Now remember that, it has a different name. So instead of tetrameter or iambic pentameter, we call it an Alexandrine because it has 6 iambic feet. Sprung rhythm is meter that's like speech. It's very close to how we speak, and it was invented by George Manley Hopkins in his poems. A literary ballad is a narrative poem imitating a folk ballad, but more elaborate and complex. Ballads are spun from song tradition and are usually regarding something romantic and usually rhyme. An elegiac stanza is a quatrain written in iambic pentameter with alternate lines rhyming. Now remember, it's elegiac, which means it comes from elegy, a poem meant to honor someone or something that is past. And it's an elegiac stanza at the end of a poem that is a quatrain. Remember, 4 lines, iambic pentameter, 5 feet per line, alternate lines rhyming, so that it would look A, B, A, B. A popular ballad is an anonymous narrative poem. Now remember, narrative means story. So a story is told in this poem. It's an anonymous narrative poem focusing on the climax of a particularly dramatic event. It employs frequent repetition, conventional figures of speech, and sometimes a refrain that's altered and transmitted orally into a musical setting. If it's a popular ballad, it does want to use the common vernacular or common word usage of the audience that's reading it. And ballad, as I said, sprung from songs. So it definitely wants to seem musical, which is why the repetition. Remember, repetition continues to strengthen rhyme and rhythm. Please remember all of these. It's so important that you memorize because you'll be asked to recall these definitions and match definitions to terms on the exam. I recommend you write the definitions down and write down the terms that they match with. This will increase your memory for the exam as you've already written it down and will remember it better. Please go through all of the terms in this module so that you can remember them and recall them for the test.